alaikum to all of you. I hope that connection will be okay during my presentation. I'm really glad that I will participate third time in the row at the ASSAM Congress. And right now you can see me and hear me from the mountain of Vlašić, one important mountain in Bosnia and Herzegovina, because of its liberation during the Bosnian War in 1994. Actually, I am on the road, and this is the spot where I could stop a few hours to conduct my presentation and to hear this morning very interesting presentations from the colleagues around the world. I want to congratulate the translators also, because they are doing really good job, and I hope that they will not have a problem with my presentation today. So basically, I am trying to speak to the core of the topic, and I am not going to be to speak in the details about issues I am developing and giving to you today. Just few remarks. I hope understandable remarks I will mention, and I find them very important for the Congress as well, but also for my topic particularly. So the social sciences, when we are talking about social sciences in the West, definitely have gone far ahead of the rest of the world from my perspective, in at least two segments. In the first case, it is about the freedom of the scholars in theorizing all, and I mean all, social phenomena, trying to find frameworks and establish forms and variables within human experience. In the second, these theories become the basis for the construction of methodological procedures by which its premises are tried in reality. We can understand that approach in the context of the dominance of the liberal paradigm, something that I am very often mentioned, and previous Congress, something what I dealt with, the liberal paradigm, and the Westerners' constant search for new and better solutions. Another reason could be the rejection of authority, mostly traditional church organizations, and especially during our postmodern period. Instead of faith and a value system that was valid for a very long time, individual freedom became a prerequisite for all other issues. It was the combination of theoretical patterns and positivist sociometric methodology that gave impulses to social change. The aim is to create new relations and new mankind, improved by people, through people's experience, and based on people's materialistic understanding of the world. Of course, that when I said that scholars are free to theorize all social phenomena, it means that theorizing became also significant for the concept of the internal security as well. So internal security cooperation had starting point in 1975 with the establishment of the Trevi cooperation. Talking about the Trevi cooperation, actually it was an intergovernmental network established outside of the then European Community legal framework. And it dealt with terrorism, radicalization, radicalism, extremism, and violence, international violence. Of course, when the Treaty of Maastricht was established, it came into force in 1992, also the Trevi cooperation actually lost its raison d'etre and was abolished. One of the main reasons for that action was belief that Europeans should be more effective and better prepared for the threats if they face them together. But they didn't look for an ordinary security. Europeans wanted to establish internal security strategy which reflects the values and priorities they share. In that sense, the concept must be understood as a wide and comprehensive concept which straddles multiple sectors in order to address these major threats, which have a direct impact on the lives, safety, and well-being of European citizens. In that sense, so many scholars and researchers actually emphasized that the creation of the policy agencies became necessary for the Europeans, especially in the context to answer the new challenges and threats of the border-free Europe. So the consolidation of a security model based on the principles and the values of the European Union was a necessity. It means that respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms, the rule of law, democracy, dialogue, tolerance, transparency, and solidarity are unavoidable axes of the concept. In this context, EU internal security means protecting both, I would say, people and the values. The challenge wasn't easy. And we know that because European Union entered the 21st century with around 500 million people across the 27 countries with possibility of enlargement. That enlargement are not going to be so big, so high, but if Southeastern Europe will reach European Union, it means that few thousand of square kilometers European Union will be bigger, and around 16 to 18 million people will become the Europeans. Therefore, security through essential significance for multiple sectors became a key factor in ensuring a high quality of life in European society. Secondly, protecting European Union's critical infrastructure is also an important task. The definition of internal security is not simple, while the goals are quite comprehensive, I would say. And we have some kind of the definition, very pragmatic, given by the European scholars of internal security, when they say that it corresponds most closely with the term of area of freedom, security, and justice, officially used to denote the collection of policies focused on security rights and the free movement of people. Concretely, this means border security, policy matters, custom questions, and criminal justice. Some issues, such as civil protection, are not formally part of the model, but clearly seem to be part of any definition of internal security. So, to upgrade Trevi cooperation to the next level, the European Union adopted the European Security Strategy in 2003, which looked at the external aspects of it. In February, some 7 years later, in February 2010, the Council complemented the European Security Strategy by adopting the internal security strategy approved by the European Council in the March 2010. These documents and actions are core for the creation of European security model. The Lisbon Treaty and the Stockholm Programme enable the European Union to take ambitious steps in the developing Europe as an area of justice, freedom, and security. The strategy was focused on common threats, as I mentioned previously, and challenges, and European Union's common internal security policy and the principles and European security model. The principles and guidelines, European security model derivated from the treaties of the Union and set out in the Charter of Fundamental Rights. These are the basis for European policies, but also for the internal security policy. Clearly, that fundamental rights, international protection, the rule of law and privacy, transparency, accountability, tolerance, respect and freedom of speech, solidarity, etc., are core principles. But mutual trust surpasses all as a key principle for successful cooperation. Mutual trust, and I will add common will. I will not go, as I mentioned in my introduction, into details of the model, trying to explain how it is organized, what kind of the mechanisms are established, how intelligences are conducting their protocols, which analytical tools are used, or which security policies are effective or ineffective, the status of operational cooperation, etc. All these questions should be addressed to professionals who can elaborate it to the very detail. What I find interesting are the principles, reasons behind those principles, and rational stronghold mutual for the Europeans. Moreover, I am trying to detect why Muslim geography cannot be so rational and act in principle and by the principles. EU member states had its own dilemma from the beginning. One of the most important issue was and still is the question of sovereignty. National state and its agencies versus intragovernmental organization, which is trying to encompass them under one umbrella is a battle that continue to provoke Europeans. And we are witnessing from the Hungarian case, Poland, even France, now Italy, we see that battle between national sovereignty and intranational, supranational organizations such as European Union is. What does this European unification tells us as a Muslims? I believe that the first lesson is related to the European matured awareness of the senselessness of constant conflict. Let's not forget that the European continent is actually a continent of war for a millennium and more. All these differences, all these aspirations for power led the European ethnic groups and nations towards religious, political, and any other intolerance. The second lesson is related to political thought. Europeans managed to overcome all these above-mentioned differences and incorporate them into a unique worldview. On the basis of the democratic traditions, the value system, financial and economic relations, cultural matrices, and educational approaches were created. Legal acquis too. The problem of the relationship between the national state, or nation state, and the supranational structure still exists, but the construction of the European internal security model is a great, among other things, witness that this is also being successfully overcome. Muslim nations could and should learn the first lesson, the advantage of unity, much more easily than Europeans. It is not that they did not fight each other, nor that there are no significant tensions today, but there is a very important advantage for the Muslims. In historical experience, Muslims have positive examples of unity, and the European Union, with its development, only further shows them that this is the path they should return to, not to invent them or to invent it, but to return to. Therefore, Muslims can restart that entire process on predefined general relations. If the view of the worldview is the one we say we accept, I mean the Quranic discourse and the Quranic concept, then we should build the issues of financial and economic relations, for example, only on technical solutions because they are essentially already given. We don't have to try something different, something new to find better ways like Europeans are doing successfully. We have already given systems. The value system is as it was from the time of the Prophet ﷺ until the collapse of the Islamic order at the beginning of the 20th century. The value system is not changed. Cultural matrices based on Tawheed as well as the educational system. The difficult question that interferes with the creation of the common space of the internal security, the question of sovereignty, is actually completely insignificant. The Islamic worldview very clearly defines the sovereign. It is God, Malikul Mulk, the owner of absolute sovereignty, no people or nation state. By accepting and implementing this fundamental truth, any argument against the creation of a wide, unified security interior space breaks out. We need, to put it simply and very directly, a common will, I am referring it again, that leads to common goals instead of functionalist, constructivist, or any other theory,
Professor,
Islamic practice.
we have three minutes.
I am finishing. Of course, we also need sociometry, but it should not give us more or less data to prove the correctness of certain ideas about the way societies should go. Our sociometry should reveal areas where more investment and attention must be paid. I would say that the topic of this Congress partially gave an important answer. The internal security of Muslim geography is a goal that must be achieved. How? Someone would ask. In introductory session, some of the colleagues this morning said that we need physical presence, and I really support that idea. We need to meet in some places, in some cities and the states to discuss these issues. Exchange of the ideas, building teams for the advocacy at the governmental level. I'm talking about Muslim states, of course, to strengthen the intellectual capacity, etc., is something that should be in our focus for the future if we want to achieve these goals. I want to congratulate at the end of my presentation, actually my talk, to the organizers, and I want to thank them for the patience they had with me, because last 3 months I was really in one hectic period, and I tried to manage my paper, my time, and alhamdulillah, I am here and I am grateful for that. Assalamu alaikum.
Kıymetli